Russia appears to be setting the stage for a possible invasion of Finland, an act that could ignite a larger conflict with NATO. The signs are hard to ignore. Military activity along the Finland-Russia border is escalating, signaling that Putin's ambitions extend far beyond Ukraine. His focus seems to include every former Soviet territory and anyone who dares oppose him. Media reports, including those from the Kyiv Independent, confirm a significant expansion of Russian military infrastructure near Petrozavodsk, a city just 100 miles from Finland. What's more concerning is the transformation of this base into a command hub capable of coordinating tens of thousands of troops. Western intelligence officials suggest this base could become the core of a future force designed not just for local dominance, but for a broader confrontation with NATO United. 24 Media reveals that this expansion is concentrated within the Leningrad Military District, an area bordering Finland, Estonia, and Latvia, amplifying regional concerns. Putin's long-term military vision includes growing Russia's active force to 1.5 million troops. While the Leningrad district currently hosts small brigades, these may soon evolve into divisions, each comprising roughly 10,000 soldiers. Satellite imagery supports this notion. New storage depots and railway networks are emerging across the region, clear indicators of a military logistics network in the making. This infrastructure is designed to move weapons, supplies, and personnel quickly, converting the area into a serious threat to Finland and NATO. Juha Kukkola, a professor at Finland's National Defense University, warns that these infrastructure upgrades deserve close attention. Once troops return from Ukraine, their gaze may fall upon Finland, now perceived as a potential adversary. Ruslan Pukov, director of the Moscow Center for the Analysis of Strategies and Technologies, echoes this, citing a growing pattern that points toward conflict with NATO. The Wall Street Journal reminds us why Finland matters. In 1940, the country was forced to cede territory to the Soviets. Since then, it's avoided direct provocations, until Putin's Ukraine invasion pushed Finland into NATO's arms. Now, Finland is actively reinforcing its border defenses, aware that Ukraine may have only been the opening move in Putin's larger plan to reclaim Soviet-era territory. While Finland wasn't entirely under Soviet control, parts of it were annexed, and Putin might be aiming to finish what was started decades ago. Even more ominous are the repeated references to NATO. Putin's goal to resurrect a Soviet-style empire means he'll inevitably have to confront the alliance. What's happening on the Finnish border is part of a vast military buildup, even as Russia loses hundreds of thousands of soldiers and massive quantities of equipment in Ukraine. But Moscow's message is chillingly clear. Losses don't matter. What matters is their ability to rebuild, and they are. United 24 notes that Russia's defense budget has more than doubled, rising from 3.6% to 7% of GDP. New factories have opened. Arms production is in overdrive. Take Russia's T-90M tanks, for instance. Production has surged from 40 units annually in 2021 to 300 today. But most aren't headed to Ukraine. According to Finnish military insiders, these tanks are staying in Russia, likely reserved for a future confrontation, potentially with Finland. Artillery is another focus. The Wall Street Journal reports that Russia plans to manufacture 20% more cannons and munitions in 2025. And with at least 200 long-range artillery units arriving from North Korea, Russia may not be running out of arms after all. It's replacing old stock with modern systems. General Christopher Cavoli, who commands U.S. forces in Europe, told the Senate that Russia's army is not only recovering, it's growing faster than anticipated. Despite heavy losses in Ukraine, it's now larger than when the war began. Structural changes inside Russia underscore that transformation. In 2024, Putin reorganized his military command into multiple new districts, tied to key cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg. Petersburg. While the Leningrad district isn't new, its role has evolved into a staging ground for large troop deployments against the West. And it doesn't stop there. Moscow's military logistics now extend into Belarus, which borders Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland. That partnership, which previously enabled the Ukraine invasion, hints that other NATO nations could be in Russia's crosshairs. Underlying this buildup is a deeply rooted Russian doctrine. Military success is about scale. Finland's Deputy Chief of Staff, General Sami Nurmi, says it plainly: for Russia, size always matters. In Petrozavodsk, Russia's sprawling infrastructure serves one goal: to intimidate and overpower Finland through sheer numbers. Even as experts speculate about Russian manpower shortages, Putin appears to have solved that issue. The Wall Street Journal reveals that Moscow is offering massive bonuses, up to $20,000, to lure recruits. In a country where the average yearly income hovers around $8,000, that's a powerful incentive. As a result, Russia is enlisting 30,000 troops per month, with some estimates putting that number at 40,000. Recruits aren't just soldiers, they're given benefits, future political roles, and social prestige. Service in the military is fast becoming a stepping stone to power and wealth in Russia. Can Russia sustain this model? Possibly not in the long run, but for now, it's working. And Finland is watching closely. As Russia rotates troops in and out of Ukraine, it is simultaneously strengthening its presence on Finland's border. This doesn't only concern Finland. NATO sees the buildup as a growing threat. For instance, Russia is now producing more artillery while improving the speed of its targeting systems, known as its kill chain. Business Insider reported that Russia's artillery has become significantly more accurate and deadly in Ukraine. If Putin turns toward Finland next, NATO could face a more battle-hardened and efficient Russian army. The national interest states that Russia is replenishing its troop losses at nearly a 1-to-1 rate, an alarming fact given the scale of its military growth. Russia's intent is becoming harder to deny. Defense Minister Andrei Belousov openly stated that Russia is preparing for a future war with NATO, referencing decisions made at the 2024 NATO summit and in Western military doctrine. This isn't defensive posturing, it's strategic preparation. So, how is Finland responding? With urgency. The country is increasing military spending, aiming for 3% of GDP by 2029, well above NATO's recommended 2%. Yet that still pales in comparison to Russia's $145.9 billion defense budget. Finland is also building civil defense shelters, enough to protect all of Helsinki's 600,000 residents in a nuclear event. These underground bunkers are stocked with essentials: water, gas, and food. The specter of war is becoming part of Finnish life. At the border, the military is increasing patrols, installing surveillance systems, erecting 13-foot barbed wire fences, and even reconsidering its stance on landmines. Prime Minister Petteri Orpo has pushed for withdrawal from the landmine ban treaty, stating Finland must prepare for a radically shifting security environment. Even with all these efforts, Finland is at a stark disadvantage. Its active military numbers 24,000. Even with 870,000 reservists, the imbalance remains severe. Russia's army already outnumbers Finland's on nearly every front: tanks, aircraft, naval ships, artillery. But Finland has NATO. And that alliance may be its most critical defense as Russia mobilizes. Still, questions remain. Will NATO step up in time? Can Finland fortify fast enough? And most importantly, is Putin really preparing for another invasion, or just making the West think he is? What do you believe? Is this military buildup on Finland's border a signal of Putin's next move?